I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. This person would literally look at me in front of the whole crew and say, you call yourself an actor, this is what I have to work with. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me.
I mean, Dune 2, to quote Shania Twain, let's go girls. Wow. I watched it in the front row and I felt like my eyebrows were going to blow off. It was that intense.
Really?
Where do we even begin with this movie? Where would you like to begin with this movie of how intense it is?
I know. I'm all over the place with this because I've been thinking about it. Back in the day, like when movies were big and you got your cinema ticket, the 70s, 80s, or when Back to the Future came out, or the first Star Wars, like that huge feeling of excitement and team and collaboration and how many films it is going to be, that's what I'm sitting on. It feels new, even though we live in a time where it's AI and everything's huge and explosive and instant gratifications and Instagram. It feels old school.
I so see what you mean, because when I was talking about how much I loved it, the thing I love about it is it doesn't seem fake.
Yeah.
Because there is obviously special effects, left, right and centre.
And we should embrace them because we win Oscar for them.
Exactly. And give us all we can.
Yeah.
We want all that action. We want all that drama. We want all the moments. But like the sets and the expanse of the dunes and everything, it's just so incredible. And it must have been amazing when you're on those sets, you're in the middle of the desert, you've got these sandstorms going around. But also, it must be kind of also a bit like going on the ultimate beach holiday, where you're like just finding sand in every nook and cranny forever afterwards.
I think for the second part, I'm mostly covered up in veil, and then a bit of chain, and then veil. To the point that when I went into costume, and Jackie was like, so you're wearing this? I was like, oh, that's amazing. And a little bit of transparent veil. I look so good. It's like, yeah, but Denis wants this as well. And then it was just like this. And I was like, you can't even see it's me. My ego is this big right now. So we took it all off. And then he was like, but you're going to get a big hat. I was like, oh, you. So I'm kind of protected from all that is the natural habitats around us. And I'm put in a box on top of a sandworm. So my experience on the second movie was very different than the first one.
In this movie, Lady Jessica, she loves the drama, she loves the moment, and she's transforming to a whole other energy. I mean, we use the term mother.
Yes, we do.
We do, but she is mothering. The Reverend Mother is mothering. How was it to go into that zone?
Number one, what does it feel to be Timothée Chalamet's mom? It's like... you kind of want to be an equal to that cool, sexy thing.
You are.
Thank you.
You are.
And I think the lingo nowadays, mother means something else. It's like you eat. I'm the mum.
Yeah.
Don't eat the mum. Let's move on. But you know what I mean? The absolute gift that is this role. The arc that I get to go through. I was so excited when the first one, I was sort of this posed, calm, tentacle, powerful human being who then goes through this wonderful change where the power goes to the son and she kind of has to step aside. And now we go into a second film where she literally gets stuck between a rock and a bloody hard place, where it's like drink or die.
Yeah.
Your choice. Been
in that situation on many nights out. Yeah.
Can I have the number to your friends?
Or out.
Or out. Exactly. But what came with it, it now wasn't just a part of being the mum to him. Now it was sitting on this knowledge, this cathedral of history and knowledge. Like it put another level to the character, which was incredible to play.
And we are going to talk about the scene where she got made to take the shot. I mean, it was like an exorcism. How did you go about approaching that scene? How did you prepare for that? Because you embodied it.
We talked about with Denis, how far do we take the transformation? Like, do we go into full exorcist? And Majda, who is my stunt double, phenomenal, she's a dancer. So she was kind of teaching me all of these weird, like, little moves when you kind of contort your body. And we let her roll with it. I was like, put a camera on her. You let her do her thing. But I think there's a reason to why they didn't use all of it. Maybe it became too much. But babes, I was up in a bridge. I haven't done yoga like that since God knows when. My Pilates finally kicked in.
You were like, yes, finally. This years
Reformer
of
makes
torture.
sense.
Finally. This is why I'm getting up at 7 a.m. every day to Reformer.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love all of that. I also love when you go, where's my frame? As in, where are the boundaries? How far can I go? And with Denis, it's like, I've got 2 cameras, roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's do it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
And you really did go in with the face tattoos as well. What was that? Is it a choice you might make later on down the line for you? Maybe
I think
not?
I rocked it.
You did.
I have never felt so attractive in my entire life. Like, I was like, is it weird if I do this for Rizzles? And it's the litany of fear. The actual litany of fear that they say, that is tattooed on her face, which I love. I think it's phenomenal.
Lady Jessica just go on this journey to sort of becoming comfortable in her own voice, which is a journey which we all go in our lives anyway.
Dude, I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, what has that journey
Yeah.
been like for you with you finding your voice?
I think I was raised by a very powerful mother. And she would never hesitate to say what she thought or felt. She's like Edina, basically, an ab-fab. That's my mum. And it was flamboyant and over the top and exciting. And I always tried to work myself away from it. I like normality. You know, don't be crazy, because I had that in her. But her genes have simmered through, or kind of filtrated into me, which is wonderful. So I still have this sort of, there's a shyness, there's a social awareness, but I also have no problem using my voice. And I'm not scared of the consequences of saying what I think. And when you speak and you have a voice in politics or equality and gender and whatever it is you're interested in, know what you're talking about and love what you're talking about and listen to other people. So I use my voice. I do, a lot. And on set, for people to feel safe.
When do you think you've been proudest of using your own voice? Where you've been like, yes, I'm proud that I stood up for myself in that moment and let myself be heard.
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm going to try and not give this away. Everyone's going to be, let's go through. What's it called?
IMBD?
Hugh Jackman? No, it's not Hugh. It's not Tom Cruise. Anyway, I've done many movies back in the day. But I remember there was a moment. And this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and uncomfortable that I got screamed at. But because this person was number 1 on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had my back. And I would cry walking off set. This person would literally look at me in front of the whole crew and say, you call yourself an actor, this is what I have to work with. What is this? And I stood there just breaking. This happens. And I remember the next day I walked on and I said, you get off my set. It's the first time I've ever spoken. I remember being so scared.
Yes.
And I looked at this person and I said, you can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again. And then I remember the producers came up and said, you can't do this to number 1. We have to let this person be on set. And I said, but the person can turn around and I can act to the back head.
Wow.
And I did. And I remember thinking that time, I was so scared. I feel it now when I'm saying it. But I thought, it shouldn't have to be that way. And I remember going to the director afterwards and saying, what is happening? And the director said, you're right. I am not taking care of everyone else. I'm trying to fluff this person because it's so unstable. And it was great from that moment. But it took so long for me to get to that. But from that moment, I have never let myself get to a point when I've got home and gone, why did that happen?
And that's the definition of mother.
It is,
the big
isn't
slay.
it? Thank you.
That is what we're about. We love
And
that.
the person is, I'm kidding.
And the person is.
And the person is, no. Also, everyone changes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so interesting you say that, and then you go on to a shoot like Dune, where it seems like you're in this space with such, the actors you get to work with are just incredible. Amazing. Director incredible, everyone left, right and centre incredible. How empowering is it to be in a space like that, knowing what you've been through to try and find your voice? And how safe do you feel to use your voice in those situations now?
Super safe.
Yeah.
Super safe to use my voice. No need to use a voice. As in, we're all having it and we're all sharing it. it comes back to what I said. It wasn't a safe director. It wasn't a safe environment on that previous film. But this one was. This was a director who has chosen people who are kind and professional, and we're surrounded by legendary, or if it's Warner Brothers, whoever, who hold our backs, and it's a safe, and that trickles down. You know, there are probably people on the set going, well, I didn't feel the same way, but there will always be people. I won't see everything. But from my perspective, I was sitting there just feeling like I was holding everyone's hand. I would sit on a throne and I'm like, God, that's Christopher Walken. I had moments with Christopher Walken where I would pretend like I didn't see him. Because,
Well, it's handy you had the veil.
well, the chain and the veil. But he would look over and I'd go, because I was so scared of an interaction with him, I didn't really know what to say. I still don't find my voice in some aspects.
I just love the fact you're literally on a throne.
I know.
Dressed as the Reverend
I
mother,
know.
the mother, and you're like, oh my God,
Gosh,
that's
Chris Walken. Someone said to me that he liked Marlon Brando, and I was like, I can use that to my gaining. So I remember walking up one day and I went, God, talk about Marlon Brando. Do you have a good story? And then we were off.
Tell me your Marlon Brando story.
Yeah.
Who do you think you learnt the most from working with on this set in terms of your co-stars?
Timothée and I, we work very differently. And the first one was trickier than the second one. As in, tricky was great and he's phenomenal, but we don't have the same technique and we didn't have the same character. He was going through, you know, you've seen it, the transformation and carrying a whole film. I'm basically playing a mom. I use a voice a bit. I kick ass. I'm not saying it's not difficult, but it's not really. I'm just having fun. And I'm doing a plethora of different things, you know? He's carrying things. So I remember the moments where I would giggle and have fun, and I could sense that it wasn't really helping him. So I think I learned a lot from looking at the process of one of our incredible independent actors on a set of a studio movie when I am born into studio films, it feels like. And the respect that you need to hold for everyone. And seeing his transformation into the second one as well. Seeing how he has landed into this. I've learned from him a lot without him knowing it.
That's so special because that says so much about how great teamwork is.
Yeah.
And how when you lean on other people and you listen to other people and you read them in interesting ways, you can learn so much about yourself and about others.
It's so interesting. And I think there are moments where I might have wanted more from him, but he didn't want to give more. And then I have to sit with that and think, why are you not? Come on. But then the scene dynamic is much more interesting between us because there's the effects. There's something there. But, you know, they say cut. And I'm like, hey, does anyone want to play backgammon? Everyone doesn't want to play backgammon, you know?
Are you the fun pusher on set?
I mean,
Yeah.
I have fun, you know? But I'm not really going through the transformation. I'm quite easy breezy.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I'm like, la, 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 you're going to get killed. Okay, action. Anyway.
Done. Anyway, what are we up to the weekend? What's the hot gossip?
That's me. And I sometimes think, am I not a serious actor? Maybe I'm not. I don't know. And cry, okay.
Breaking news, you're a very serious actor.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
really am.
when you actually think about it, your CV is just stunning. Like, when you list it out, 3 Mission Impossible movies, 2 Dune movies, The Greatest Showman, Silo, Girl on a Train. I mean, and you started out on Swedish soap operas.
Yeah.
So this has been a real journey for you to get to this point where you're in such a massive blockbuster like this. Were there any points in that journey where you thought this was an improbable dream in a way?
I feel like it's as if I'm still in that space where I just sometimes take myself out of it and I go, what's happening? Like, what is this? Like, how am I a part of this? But then I look at it and I think it's been such a natural transition. And I could sit here and go, it's amazing, it's incredible. And it is. But for me internally, I was thrown into mission, 10 years ago? And then I've done another mission, and then another mission, and then a Dune. I've had all of these incredibly high studio, intense films. I did Hercules, which we don't need to talk about because we don't need to promote directors like that. But I've done big studio films. So it feels like my body's cradled into the masses.
Do you ever take moments to take a step back and appreciate how far you've really come?
Yeah, I try and do that a lot. And my husband, that extremely handsome man.
I mean,
out there, I know,
10 out of
just
10, no
mention.
notes.
Mother's working it again. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Can you edit your own?
I mean, that's sensational. So, the mother is mothering.
I think,
Yeah.
you know. But I think...
It's on brand. It's fine.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's on cue. We've stuck, the thread is through.
Hello, there's a narrative to this
worm is
podcast. Can you
worming.
believe it?
He and I did it with Max Irons as well, back in the day, and that was when we did The White Queen. I remember, we sat on the thrones, King Edward, Elizabeth Woodville, lots of essays, regala, you probably know it, crowns and everything, a Friday night for you, babes.
Oh,
and we're
please.
and we're sitting there, and I go, we're king and queen of England. This is like, how the heck did this happen? And I remember still that moment and that feeling, that youthful intoxication of like, poof, like if someone goes dish with a defibrillator. I still get that. And my husband sometimes just goes, stop, just now. And kicks in when you're promoting something like Dune. And you have Zendaya and Timothee, who are basically our new rock stars. They are... It doesn't take away Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Lea Seydoux. It's a collaboration of what is like the bee's knees of fame, right? And it's not just selfie fame, it is artistic fame. And it's like idolizing. People are screaming. And you're walking with this entourage of people and being a part of it. And you kind of go,
This is crazy.
this is crazy.
Yeah. Have you always had self-belief, though?
That's such a good question. I have always had this feeling that it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. But I've always had that feeling combined with, I work in a clothes shop. I'll work in a nursery. I'll work in a Korean restaurant, by the way. The best food I've ever served is in a restaurant I served in Stockholm.
Oh, love that.
Bibimbap, Korean food.
Do you go back and you're now
It's my
on the wall?
only restaurant. No, they should get me up on
They
the wall.
should get you on the
but
wall.
I go back all the time when I'm in Stockholm.
Yeah.
My point is, nothing has ever stopped me from living. And if living is earning money, you get a job. It doesn't matter. I will be fine. And I think that goes hand in hand with I speak my truth. And if someone goes, you can't, you're not going to get into Hollywood, I'll go, but that's okay because there are other jobs out there. I would have called that a great run.
Yeah.
I'll write something, I'll wing it. And I'll work a little bit here and I'll do this and this. I have no problems just adapting, but it needs to be true.
I love that because it's so important to have that kind of outlook in an industry like this where you have, because people would look at your career. I just read out your CV and anyone would kill to have that kind of CV. But people don't see behind the scenes the levels of no's, the rejections and everything else that goes in between, the lows in between working.
A lot of people would criticize it as well. A lot of people would sit down and go, why do you not have a contract with the bigger houses? Why do you not have this? Why do you not have 400 paparazzis outside? Why do you, all of this? What is the definition of success? And for me, I sometimes in my back head go, I wish I had a little bit of that as well. And the other hand, I go, no, because I work against it. I live so well. I'm so lucky. I can care for so many people. I can go wherever I want without it being an issue. And I make films that are chosen by heart. I think I owe a lot to Mission. I owe a lot to that franchise and to Tom. Number one, they wrote the most incredible character. And I loved her. And I got to study one of the biggest film stars in the world in the flesh.
Yeah, that's an up-close tutorial, isn't it?
And it's basically a school. It's a lesson, right? And I still, to this day, have embodied a lot of the stuff that he does. And I can hear it and I go, oh.
I'm Tom Cruise today. This is a bit weird.
Something like checking my harness or safety.
Yeah.
I know. I've done it so much that I'll go, by the way, check this. Is the zip when we do the throw-in, etc., do you have that? Do you have it in rubber? Have you covered? Like, my head is sometimes a little bit like Born Identity. It was like checking the exits. It was such a big part of my life. And it propelled me. It basically generated a career that I took into my own hands and made what it is today. But very much thanks to that. Yeah, that would be like the stepping stone for me of when it all happened.
Is there something, though, when you look at that career where you think, oh, I really want to do that next? What's the big goal for you when you've ticked off so many already?
I know exactly what it is. And I have no problem talking about it. I want to break into... I get offered a lot of roles that are empowering, walk straight, talk with a firm voice. Either it's a super agent, a mom, a queen, a countess, because I do it well.
You do.
Very well, right? Yeah. It's just...
Tick.
It's tick. I can do it. So it's not interesting. One of the best things with Denis when this happened was... Actually, it's quite a fun story. He called me and he said, and I want to work with Denis so much. And he was like, do you know Dune? And I said, no. And I hadn't actually seen the old version. I didn't know much. And I said, but I'm not interested in playing like a countess or anything like that. And he was like, no, it's fine. You're going to play, she's like a concubine and she is the queen and she's this and this. And I went, yeah, it's not really what I want to do. So thank you, though. But I'd love to work with you. And this conversation
I literally
happened.
love how you turned it down.
Well, I kind of, but I also was, I don't want that to be the story. But I remember, I was like, I don't want to be the queen. I've done it. And when we put the phone down and he called a couple of hours later and he said he offered it, I was like, because I remember putting the phone down, I went to my husband, well, I'm not going to get that.
You're not going to get that now?
No, I don't know what happened. I was being me again. Blah, blah. And then he called and offered it. And I was like, did he miss the part? And I brought this up and he was like, I didn't hear that. And I was like, you clearly didn't hear that. And then on set, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And I put the thing on, I walked, and he went, why are you walking straight? Why are you walking like a queen? And I went, what? And he went, no, give me a creature. Give me an animal. And I was like, oh, this is what I want. My automatic response was this. And there's a moment when I walk into him, he's like, why are you walking like you want to be in the room? You're walking into the room, but you want to leave. Show me that. I was like,
I get it now.
I love you.
Also, I love that you played slightly hard to get.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think my words must have been, I want to work with you, I'll do anything, but I really don't want to do this. And he must have just kind of gone, okay, good, you.
I'm just going to self-edit
Yeah.
this. Yeah.